Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of my lecture. In my previous lectures, I've discussed things regarding facts and fact relevance to fact in issue. I talked about the definition of evidence. I also talked about the types of evidence that we have, and then after that I talked about relevant fact admissibility. I talked about the res gestae doctrine, section 5, section 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all that. Now this is the beginning of another subsect of evidence, and this particular lecture we are going to talk about confessions and admissions. This section is on confession and admission, but in this particular lecture we are talking about what exactly is a confession. In my next couple of lectures I'll be talking about the nature of a confession or a confessional statement and the rules regarding the nature. We've not gotten to the requirements yet. We are talking about, in this particular lecture, just the definition of a confession and confessional statement. Then in my subsequent set of classes we'll be talking about the nature of confession and confessional statement, and then after that we'll be talking about the requirements of a confessional statement. We'll talk about threat, we'll talk about oppression, and all other things. So on this particular lecture, talking about what exactly is a confessional statement, let us go straight to my notes. The relevant section for this is section 28 of the Evidence Act. And section 28 of the Evidence Act tells us that a confession is an admission made at any time by a person charged with a crime, stating or suggesting the offense that he committed. This was also stated by KATSINA ALU, Justice of the Court of Appeal, in the case of UBEIRO V STATE. Also, section 29 sub 1 of the Evidence Act declares a confession made by a defendant relevant and admissible, provided that it is not excluded by other provisions of section 29 of the Evidence Act. Now, a confession is an admission against interest. It offers best of evidence on the guilt of the accused, as this is rightly held in SOFOLA versus the state and Samuel OBASI versus the state. In these cases, it was stated that a confessional statement is the best evidence in our criminal procedure. It is a statement of admission of guilt of the accused, and the court must admit in evidence unless it was confessed at the trial. Once the confessional statement is admitted, the prosecution need not prove against the accused beyond reasonable doubt, as the confessional statement ends the need to prove the guilt of the accused. So basically, when you are talking about the confessional statement, I think one of the things that are very important in our criminal justice system is that the confessional statement is the most solid proof that could be brought by the prosecution. The most solid proof that could be brought by the prosecution in a criminal trial is the confessional statement, which means that once a confessional statement has been admitted, that's solidly admitted without any objection or whatsoever, that means that the prosecution need not prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. Do you understand that? That is the reason, if you are in Nigeria today and you have gone to the police station before for any crime, alleged crime to have been committed or any of those sorts, you will see that one thing that the police usually gone for is confessional statements. They want to coerce the accused or try or threaten the accused, do anything that is possible to make sure that the accused gives a confessional statement. Because the moment that is done, the moment a confessional statement is given, then the police do not need to have to bring a witness statement or this or direct evidence or circumstance. You see, all those things are no longer as relevant when the confessional statement has been given, and that's what was held in the case of SOFOLA versus the state, that the best evidence before a court in a criminal procedure would be, or in a criminal trial would be, a confessional statement. Do you understand? So then, what is confessional statement? A confessional statement is the admission of guilt by the accused in a criminal proceeding. Do you understand? Now, there has been an alleged crime. Let's say Mr. A has been alleged of killing Mr. B. Do you understand that? And then Mr. A in this circumstance was taken to the police station, and then when he got to the police station, he decided to write how the whole thing happened. That means that he is saying that he killed the person, and now he's writing that this is how he killed the person. He entered the person's house and did this and he did that and he did this and he did that. Do you understand? The moment he testifies, either written or orally, that he's the one that carried out the offense that he's being charged for or that is being suspected for, then that would amount to a confessional statement. Do you understand? Now, years ago, when I was working with one of my principals at a law firm, he had this pro bono case. For those who don't know what pro bono is, pro bono means free of charge. So he took the case free of charge of a 14-year-old boy that was languishing in cell. He was 20 years at the time he got to him, which means that he had used 6 years in the cell. And what happened that made them arrest him? His brother, according to the testimonies that he gave us, his lawyers, his brother was part of all these cultists on the streets, people that used to make noise and all that. So when there was a murder case in that particular area, and then the police came to raid, because I heard that there were clashes between two cultist rival groups. Now, the police came to raid the community, and he, because his brother is that kind of person, he also was like amongst the other boys at that time. Do you understand? In the company of his brother. Now, for some of those boys, when the police came to raid, they were able to escape, including his brother, while he wasn't able to escape. Do you understand? And then when they got to the police station, because he wasn't so intelligent and all that, or he wasn't too educated, or he didn't have someone to put him through, the police had already written a whole statement, and then they just told him to sign, that when he signs, they are going to release him. And then when he signed, he realized that they just carried the case from that police station, and then they dropped him in Kirikiri, and he has been in Kirikiri since then, and nobody came to see him, because he didn't come from a well-to-do family and all that. But the fact that his brother might have been a cultist does not mean that he killed somebody, but he has already confessed to the fact that he killed somebody without even knowing that was why he was in the cell for 6 years. He just kept saying, I did not do anything, I did not do anything. But each time he comes up with the statement that he did not do anything, and the fact that he looks rough, people judge him by his appearance, and the fact that there's already a confessional statement to the effect that he testified that he did it. Do you understand? So with that, he has been locked up for years, and that is exactly what we are about to learn in this class. Our class basically is about confessional statements and how important is the confessional statement. How do we admit a confessional statement? What are the features of a confessional statement? What are the requirements of a confessional statement? For a confessional statement to be valid and binding on a person, what are the conditions that the prosecution must meet before that is going to happen? That is what I'm going to be teaching in my next subsequent set of classes. But in this particular class, we already know what a confessional statement is, where an accused admits that he actually did the offense. And not only that, we know how important it is. As has been stated in the case of SOFOLA versus the state, it is very important, so much so that with just a confessional statement, the prosecution does not need to discharge any burden of proving beyond reasonable doubt, because that confessional statement in itself is the proof that the court is looking for. And with that, I end my class for this particular session. My next subsequent set of classes, I'll be talking about the nature of a confessional statement and all that. I will see you in my next class.